here. Oh, we went live right away. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. I am so glad it's Friday. It's been a week. Welcome to the TED Show. This is episode 178. And I'm with my friends next to me, Andrea Halperin. Did I do it, right?
That's right.
And Poonam, I got it. Desormes. I would say it's Spanish, but that's probably me. Eric Rawlings is watching. Eric, let us know you can hear us or see us. I think you can, because it's a pretty quiet Friday here at the Citrus Club, and we're in a very wonderful room, and we are talking about Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense America. Yeah. Correct? Did I do it right?
In America, yes.
In America. For America. In America. I like it. Shirley Stamper, you can hear us. Tilt it down for a little less headroom. So that's my guy who does everything, right? All right, I love you, Neil. You're the best. Watch.
And then you get more
and then you get more shirts. The shirts are important.
Oh, yeah, the shirts are super important. All right, Neil, I wish you were here. Neil's going to come produce the show. He just doesn't know it yet. So we have a very love you too, Shirley. We have a very interesting history, which we will not talk about here, but I was so happy that Poonam decided to come back and come on the show and talk about something that's, no, you didn't shake things up, Neil. That's why we love the immediate interaction. I love to be told. Much better. Thank you. See, I can take direction. My wife doesn't believe that, but it's true. So we're here to talk about gun sense, right? But we want to get to know you guys first, and then we want to get to the event that's coming up. We want to get to your big why, but it's always good for the audience to engage and kind of know who you are and how you got to the point of becoming involved with your organization. So welcome. Happy Friday, TGIF. So Andrea, we'll start with you first. Give us a little history on you, background on you.
All right, well, so I was a theater actor for 20 years.
Oh my God.
I lived in New York and did the Broadway thing and touring and all that kind of stuff.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Like singer stuff and all that?
Yeah,
nice.
Sing, dance. I was musical theater. That was my genre. So yeah, I actually grew up in California and did some stuff there for many years, and then I moved to New York eventually and worked out of there, and then I was in New York when the Sandy Hook shooting happened in Connecticut, and I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time, and that's sort of what got me started down this path. And then not long after that happened, I guess it was, I've been here in Orlando for about 3 years now. My husband, who was a Broadway stage manager, had some opportunities to work here in sort of the themed entertainment world. And so I had my second child, and we decided it was time for a change, because having 2 children in the Broadway world was very challenging. You know, you miss a lot of things if you're doing shows nights and weekends, your rehearsals, things like that. So I had already sort of started kind of stepping away from the business. I did real estate for about a year, and then
doesn't seem like everybody does real estate.
I know, it's like when they're transitioning into something like, let's
Nothing
do real
against
estate.
my realtor friends. You know I love you.
So I just sort of was trying to figure out, well, what do I do this second half of my life, So then once we found out that we were moving down here, my husband sort of had these opportunities lined up, and we said, let's do it. Let's move to Orlando. I never in a million years thought I would be in Florida, but here I am. And so the past 3 years, I'm a mom to my 7 and 3-year-old, and been volunteering with Moms Demand Action now for a little over 2 years. And that's
a great story. Are you going to sing something for us later? At the end, once we've got
I'm just starting to figure out, what do I want to do to actually make some money now? So maybe I'll,
Is that what we do? We're supposed to make money at all this activity and advocacy that we do? We have to make money?
I know.
I get it. I understand. Well, but
I'm happy that I'm very fortunate to have had some time to be able to give to this cause and be able to volunteer my time and sort of try to grow this Orlando chapter. And now I have a wonderful team of people that are helping me, and so it's amazing. And I've met some incredible people, and now I'm settling into Orlando. I'm really liking it. It had way more going on than I ever would have thought.
If you've seen the show, which you probably haven't, it's all right. You won't hurt my feelings because since you're a Broadway star, I'm not sure if you'd low rent it down to the TED show. But we have such an amazing city here. It's just so embracing. I talk about it all the time. I think everybody here, we're just so diverse and supportive and loving and caring, and so I will get to that question. We already have questions. Hi, Eric Rawlings. Hi, everybody. Hey, Kay Rollins came on. Hi, guys. Hey, Nina. So let's let Poonam also give her story for a little bit. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Poonam Desormes, and I'm the co-lead of events for the Orlando Moms chapter, and Andrea's our leader, and thankfully for that. And so I am a speech language pathologist at a school for autism, and I'm a mom and I'm a wife. And so for that, with everything going on and having a child and being in the school system as well with really, really vulnerable children, important to me, and also just being a volunteer is important to me. Something I did a lot. I ran the volunteer center at UCF when I was at UCF.
You did? Oh, go Knights. I'm a Knight.
Yeah, and so I think I just had a friend that got me involved in volunteering. We've been doing things with different organizations, and then we stumbled upon Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense, and we kind of really felt like the organization was very data-based, data-driven, and specific in what the missions were, and I could really relate and understand that. Because it was not really an emotional thing, and it also it supports the Second Amendment, which I think is great, and it says that responsibility goes hand in hand with,
so let's
being
talk
safe.
about that, because you're going to have, I can already see my we've got an interesting mix of people who are watching, right? But that's good. Remember, respect and engagement. We want that, everyone, and questions are definitely welcome. So give us the basics of what Moms Demand Action is all about.
Well, I'll just say we're nonpartisan, and we support the Second Amendment, but we just believe that with rights come responsibilities and restrictions. Every right we have has restrictions, and we have laws in this country for reasons, and because they save lives. And just in the same way that, you're not supposed to drive drunk. Okay, of course, so, and do people still do it? Of course they do, but they get arrested for it, and they have their punishments for it. So it is a deterrent for people to do that. I might, if I'm going out with my husband, I'm like, maybe I'm gonna get an Uber tonight because I don't want to have this responsibility of doing, making sure that I'm not having drank a little bit too much, like.
Cheers.
I
love Lyft and Uber. They're my friends.
So that's really what we're about, and we're trying to get that message across, because what I personally feel like, unfortunately, the leadership of the NRA and some other organizations have tried to convince people that we're coming for their guns. And we have gun owners in our group. We have people... I have no problem with people owning guns for whatever, if they need it for protection, if they want to go hunting, that's not something I feel the need to do, but I'm not going to put my beliefs on somebody else. So I feel like if we can we're not going to be able to have this conversation until we dispel all these myths that we're coming for certain things. Now, the one argument we can get into is the AR-15 argument, where people say, well, you're coming for that kind of gun.
Talk
that's
about
a whole
that.
nother issue.
Let's educate first of all.
Yes.
So what you're saying, though, is that you have... it's not necessarily you're against the NRA. What we're talking about is you want that the information to be educational in
Correct.
A part where that it makes
And
sense,
just
back to
reasonable.
being sense.
Reasonable. And we don't want people to have this false notion that we're coming to take away their Second Amendment rights. And I
Right.
think that what you get is some of these fringe elements and some of the NRA leadership and lobbyists and things like that are in it for money, let's be honest, and manufacturers, the gun manufacturers and stuff like that. So they're putting forth this, misinformation that they're going to have their rights taken away. And never once have we said that. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to protect lives, and we do that based on the data that we have that shows us what can save the most amount of lives. And to me, anyway, it's just common sense stuff. And so many gun owners support that issue.
So what are some of the points that...
Well, one of our main goals, I guess you could say, is to let's get a background check on every single gun sale, gun show, which we sort of are closing some of those loopholes slowly but surely. Private sales, all this stuff. Yes, it's going to be tricky to enforce some of that, but we just need it on the books that if you're going to buy a gun, you've got to go through a background check. Period. Anywhere. End of story. Because that will save lives. That's a deterrent for some people, and so we know that can save lives. So that's our number one focus, because that is what our data shows us, and that's what we focus on. Some of these things that have passed recently, like the red flag laws, they call it. So if law enforcement deems that someone is dangerous to themselves or to others, they can take away their guns for a time, and maybe that person's going through a really rough time, and it's not forever. It's a limited amount of time, and they can go through the process to get those things back, but it's a tool that we have to prevent the loss of life. So those kinds of things we feel like are some of the things that are the most important. It's not about taking away any kind of weapon for us, really. It's really about putting laws in place that make sense and protect the most lives.
What I found interesting when I was doing some of the research, because we joke that we spend all of the R&D goes to booze here. We don't do a whole bunch of library research on anything. But one of the things that I saw as I was trying to tag Moms Demand Action, one of the first things that came up was people against moms who demand action.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, all right,
we get a bad rap.
but I think that, and that's unfair, because I think that what you're trying to say, and I love the part that there was sense in what you're talking about. You're demanding action, but you want sense. There has to be a discussion about things making sense, and I don't think that anybody can deny the fact that we have a problem. So if we could start there, right? We've got an issue. I don't know whatever side of the fence you're on the issue, there's an issue. And whatever we're doing now is not working.
If more guns made us safer, we would be the safest country in the world.
If we could figure out how to start that,
case.
but I think if people could just, let's start with a common ground, right? We all agree there's a problem. We all agree that what we're doing is not working. It's when we start to branch off into what the solutions are, is where we have all this huge divide.
It's complicated. There's multifaceted solutions that involve mental health care and early intervention and all. Don't get me started on the money that I think, instead of arming and hardening our schools, we should be spending on social workers, people that can get in and intervene early and help these students, counselors, people that have these issues, so that this doesn't happen in the first place. So that's all a whole nother issue.
What's your
and
thought process on arming the teachers?
So we, as an organization, we do not support arming teachers. We do not support arming school staff. We support school resource officers. So we support anything you want to do to make the school safe. You want to have a single entry, some of the high-tech stuff that they have going on. School resource officers, because that's their one job. And listen, unfortunately, like in Parkland, that guy didn't do his job. That's unfortunate. That's I think a rare case. But that is what their job is to do, not somebody in the staff, the gym teacher, the cafeteria lady who's
you'll probably be happy to know that the Orange County School Board is against arming the teachers.
They came out very early, and other
because it's going to go
to
that level, right? So as that passes, it's going to go county, it's going to go school board to school board.
Well, and that's what we've been doing since the law passed in Florida, is trying to get all of our volunteers at those school board meetings in the conversation, trying to say, here's the data that we have, here's the statistics we have, please, don't do this. There are other ways to protect our schools, there are other ways, get the school resource officers that are trained to do that job in there. If you feel like you need more of them, as a parent, as an individual, I kind of feel like we're going the wrong direction. We don't want our schools to become prisons. We don't want, for me, I read an article a while ago about what we really need to do is soften our schools, meaning we need more care. We need to pay our teachers more. We need to make sure that there are people, staff, people that can help these kids that are going through these struggles, which cause them to then, the access to the weapons and whatever's going on in their mental health. So we need to approach both sides. It's not just a one.
So
off,
Eric had a question. Do you know Eric Rawlings? Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Rawlings is running for Orange County Commissioner, District 3. I got that right, Eric. Aren't you proud? And he had a question. Can can you comment about the Publix Putnam NRA? He put mess, but
Mess.
I'll
It's
just
kind
say
of a mess,
that
yes.
discussion,
Yeah.
because that's big. Like Eric has put something out on his social media. There's a boycott of some kind, and Eric, I'm being honest with you, I didn't read the entire boycott, but I saw that it had something to do with Publix supporting Putnam. And I don't know enough to speak about it. And that's one thing that I would like to encourage everybody. If you know about it, speak about it. But if you don't have all your facts, stop spewing. Get your information and then have a conversation. But I know it's out there. So do you all have a feeling on that? Do you know enough to comment?
So as an organization, we are not sort of endorsing that boycott. We feel like, even though we do march and we do things like this, our focus is not about protesting, marching, boycotting, although we do promote that with like Starbucks, for example. A long time ago, early in Moms Demand Action, when they were first forming, they did this whole, talking about not going to Starbucks because they were allowing guns in their stores, and we were trying to say that, we don't want that. And they ended up saying, we don't want that either. So that was a great boycott. With this, because the money is, from what I understand, the Moms Demand Action as an organization, because the money is not going directly to a specific sort of gun issue, it's going to him as a candidate. They know that he will further their cause. So just like anyone else, any other corporations that support other candidates. So we're not, as an organization, getting involved. Personally, I'm boycotting Publix. But there's a lot of reasons for that. This latest one is one. They have other issues for me that I also have issues with, so that's a whole nother personal side note. And I am very fortunate that I live by a couple other, a Trader Joe's, a Whole Foods, a Fresh Market, all these other options that I have. So it's an easier choice for me, but it's an individual choice. As an organization, we're not publicly supporting that boycott for that reason, that it's because they're giving money to him as a candidate and not for a specific gun-related issue, and we are very laser focused on what we do as an organization. So that's where my understanding.
I've got a question as far as a parent. Like, all of my kids are out of school. I have one left in college, but it's still an issue. It can still be an issue. Mm-hmm. But one of the things with Stacy, my wife, being a teacher, the fact that they have to have drills and discussions about what happens if there's an active shooter, that's like this whole new thing, like back in the 50s when they had to duck and cover they were afraid of atomic bombs. So it's changed the discussion. So you all have children that are school age. What kind of discussions are you having with them?
It's hard. My daughter, when she first went through it, she's in first grade, and this is the first time that I'm aware of that she had it, and she heard this, like, we had to hide in case a bad person, I said bad man, I mean, typically it tends to be men or boys, comes into our school or whatever. And the way she was just describing it was sort of like she didn't really understand it, so there wasn't a lot of weight to it yet, but you can tell it was just a weird concept, and so that, of course, is so unsettling as a parent. And I'm thinking, well, this is your new reality, unfortunately. And then my 3-year-olds had to have one at preschool, and they take precautions but I'm talking to the preschool teacher, and she's like, well, yeah, they're gonna do this sort of announcement, and then we're gonna have to go be quiet and turn the lights off. I said, that could be super traumatic for a 3-year-old, because they don't know what's going on. They just hear some code red, everyone, duck and cover kind of a thing. Right. And what 3-year-old can stay quiet, So it's just the trauma that we're putting our kids through. It is immeasurable. I mean, they'll carry this with them for their whole lives. And you see these Parkland kids and others, the recent one in Texas, and they are traumatized. We are traumatizing these kids. More kids this year have died in school shootings than in combat, from what I understand. So, like, this is PTSD level things that we're putting our kids through, that they have to watch this. I mean, thankfully, as a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, we don't have the news on my house. They don't know.
But you
anything.
have the
I'm trying to keep that innocence as long as I can.
But you have the conversation.
Appropriate level conversation for my 7-year-old, but and
how about you, Poonam?
Yeah.
Well, another factor for me, so I'm working at a school for autism, and so that's also hard to have these drills, and some of the kids that do have the language to maybe understand a little bit about that, it's very scary for them to process. And we have the kids that are completely nonverbal. And we think about if our kids had to go, and if there was an active shooter and they had to go out with their hands raised, would they be able to even follow those directions?
Sure.
Many of our kids wouldn't even be able to do that. And from a really, really personal perspective, for me, I have a son that's biracial. So I'm Indian, my husband's Haitian, and my son is a black boy. And that's what he is. That's part of him that I want him to know of and be proud of. And for me, I worry about his risk of being involved or being susceptible to gun violence. And that's something that I want to hope for the best. I want to have him in the right places and have the resources, and I want to, through moms, help the legislation. But at the end of the day, I have to teach him as he gets older what to do to stay safe, and I have to face the reality that he's 13 times more likely when he grows up to be a victim of gun violence than his peers that are not black, and
So,
that's just reality.
Let me ask a question, which I didn't, I don't ever prep anybody, so your questions are, I hope this doesn't catch you off guard, but I'm fascinated by how you feel and how you feel strongly about it. I feel the same way. It's a scary world that we live in as far as guns and gun violence are. I believe there are a lot of ways to try to address it, which is one way that you all are trying to get the message out. Do you believe that your children would be better off having knowledge of how to use a gun, what a gun looks like, being educated on guns themselves, or are you completely on the other side of, I never want them to see it, touch it, know about it, think about it?
We have a great thing called the Be Smart program. And so the Be Smart program actually talks about us as adults and kids, educating our kids and educating our friends and adults about how to be safe if you are a gun owner, and basically also asking your friends if you're going to have a play date, is there a gun in your home, is it locked, and all of that. And not saying my kid's not going to come to your house because of that, but I want us all to be safe and to know it's secure. And with that, as our kids get older too, we can teach them. There's a version of it for children, right? To teach them, like, if you see a gun, this is what you do. You don't touch it. You get somebody that is a parent or a police officer or something like that. So I think it's really important that they see that. And I personally don't want my son to think guns are bad. Like, I want him to know that there's people that have them for the right reasons, like in the military or police officers or a responsible gun owner, and that's okay if they're being responsible. And so I've had my son, he sees me go out in my t-shirt and sees these things, and he's 7, he's precocious, and he's asking me questions. And if he ever has a question that's very leaning one way, like, that's bad, nobody should have that, I actually stop in and I say, no, there's a middle ground. Like, it's okay for people to have these things if they're being responsible, and we can all help that happen.
And you?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I think that I don't feel like I need to teach her how to handle, or my daughter, my son, how to like handle and do all that sort of thing. I never learned how to do that, and it's not hindered me in any way, shape, or form in my life. I'm fortunate that way, but I think that the awareness of it, the fact that, right, it's good in the right hands, it can be a good thing. It's about responsibility, it's about all that stuff. So I think that, but I don't think that she needs to, I don't think she needs to learn particularly about the working parts of a gun. There's a lot of people who get upset if you don't know exactly the terminology, how to put together this gun or how to hold, and it's like, that's really not the point. It doesn't really matter. So for me, if that's something later in her life that she wanted to do for whatever reason, and she was completely responsible, then I would support that. But for me, I just don't feel a need for it. I mean, what is she gonna?
I love your one of the reasons why I love your message is that what happens is we get all of our information from social media or Google or the news, and if you're skewed either way, which we all know the news is skewed either way, right? People will vilify you, vilify the other side, and then they don't take the time to get to understand where you're coming from And we are more alike than we are different
absolutely.
in our approach and our thought process. You have the fanatics on both sides of the fence. I don't care where you are or what issue it is. And unfortunately, because they scream the loudest, they're the ones that get picked up on the news all the time.
Right.
So when you have a topic like this, like what you both just said, I think is so important for the people who are on the very, all these women, they just want to take away my guns. That is not what they're saying at all. And on the other side, those people, they don't want your 2-year-old to have the gun either. Like there's responsibility among all of us, and instead of listening to the fanatics everywhere, we need to get together and have a conversation more often, which is why what you all are doing and the message that you have is just so important. And that's why having interviews like this is so critical, so that they can put a face with it. You're a person, you're a parent, you're a mom, and then people can see, oh my gosh, she's not trying to take my gun. Oh my gosh, she's actually not calling me a bad person because I own a gun. That's not what this is about. And I think people get so caught up in that negativity.
I do worry about the
time.
message, the fear messaging. That's the thing that concerns me the most, because I think that people's fears, which are totally understandable, are so many times in what our culture now, everything that's happening is what's driving the behavior and this need that's like, it gets so hyped up from these extreme sides on either side, just so much fear. And I want to dispel that a little bit and say, listen, we're fortunate in a sense, in that the odds of these kind of things happening are not great, what I mean? So we don't have to constantly be carrying a gun to protect ourselves from the bad guy, the other guy, that whatever this is that everyone's, so concerned about. And so I just would like to see that melt away a little bit, so that because with that, anytime you're based in fear, it's irrational. So we're not gonna be able to have a conversation if everyone's just freaked out and on their opposite sides.
They do, and I get why you get freaked out. It's scary.
It is scary.
It's just, there's no other way. And if you don't think it's scary, you're not admitting the truth. It's a scary place that we live in. We just have to figure out how to deal with, like you said, it's a new normal. So, and how do we do that? And how do we work together to educate, to come together, to not, it's not Nazi Germany. We're not taking away all the guns. It's also not a free-for-all where everybody gets a gun and everybody's going to shoot each other. It's not that movie, The Purge. Let's have an in-between discussion and listen. So you have an event. We've talked a long time, but I'm glad that we did. You have an event coming up, and you have shirts on, which I love. So let's show the shirts.
Well, they're the Wear Orange shirt. That's the
Is
event.
Got the orange.
This is the
Wear
normal
orange?
Mom's Demand.
Wear
Action
orange,
event.
and that's June 2nd.
Yeah. So the great thing about Wear Orange is that all over the country, if you text ORANGE to 64433, you'll be able to find any of the events going around all over the nation. And I think there's about 14 events happening in Florida. So Orlando's is on June 2nd, Saturday at Gaston Edwards Park. That's in Ivanhoe Village, across from the Hammered Lamb. Usually when I say that,
I know
people
just
know what
where it
I'm
is.
talking about. So across from the Hammered Lamb. And the nice thing about this one is that it's a free family-friendly event that's happening from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And what it is it's really honoring gun violence survivors and honoring and celebrating some of the actions that have taken that have been positive since Sandy Hook's. Like if you go to Moms Demand Action and look at our victories, you'll see that a lot of things actually have happened. A lot of bad bills have been stopped, and that can be heartening if you feel like nothing's being done and what can I do. Looking at that, it helped me. But so we're going to celebrate that and honor that. And so we have Myra Alvarez, whose daughter was killed at Pulse, will be speaking. We have a student activist, and the Central Florida Urban League and Orange County Sheriff's Office are all partnering with us. So again, Gaston Edwards Park, June 2nd, 10 a.m. And we're gonna have bounce houses, ice cream truck, empanada truck. We have
Empanada truck.
Yes, La Empanada, freebie ice cream. We also have the Van Cam is coming out, which is a really cool photo booth in a Volkswagen van.
Love that.
Hate Not Hugs Rocks, so arts and crafts, carnival games, just a really great family-friendly event. And you can find one anywhere around the nation, and you can RSVP by texting ORANGE to 64433.
And I think, is it Shayna? Is that who?
Shayna.
Shayna just posted that, and we're going to share all of that again. And Rob Prater, you just came on. I was talking about you earlier, so you should listen to the show. Any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I appreciate so much the message that you put out. I appreciate you all. I saw one comment that was a little not so there, so we'll address that one later. But I just appreciate the fact that we're engaging. That's what it's about. You want to engage, you want to have a conversation. And if we can be respectful of each other and have that conversation, we're going to make so much more progress. So any parting words of wisdom?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you can also text READY to 64433, the same number, if you want to just sign up with Moms Demand Action in general, and that'll get you on our in our database, and so you'll get emails and text messages, and to know what else is coming up if you can't go to the Wear Orange event. So you can text READY to 64433.
All right, so June 2nd. So when I share the video,
come on out.
We'll share all of the information on the video. Then they're going to post it. I'm going to repost it. Thank you guys so much for being a good audience and a good TED Show family. I appreciate it so much, and I love what you guys are doing. Thank you. Thank you for coming on, and what a great conversation. What an open. I love the openness of it, and I love the fact that there's a whole bunch of love going on here for you guys, and that's really cool. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I have
Appreciate
one more thing I wanted to say that I totally forgot. So June 1st is also, the mayor has proclaimed it Wear Orange Day in Orlando. So we really want to thank Mayor Buddy Dyer for do that. It's National Gun Violence Awareness. So even if you can't come to the event, wear orange on June 1st, wear orange on June 2nd, and look
Tie
up
orange
Wear
around
Orange.
your tree.
Yeah.
We're doing
That's
that.
right.
So look for
Wear Orange. Orlando's supposed to light up orange. We got word that it's happening. So
that's
so
awesome.
all the Lake Eola fountain, everything once it gets dark, it'll everything should light up orange
On
That's
June
amazing.
1st. So
June
look out for that.
1st.
June 1st.
So we'll post that too and share that. We're going to share all of it.
Thank you for letting us add that.
Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. We love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.